Yo, what up? What up? Welcome back to the Applying Logic podcast. I am your host, Rich, and I have missed you guys. It's been a while. I know I said it would be weekly, and I'm going to apologize for that right now. I haven't been able to get back to it weekly, but things are getting straightened out in order, and we're going to try our best to keep this rolling on a week-to-week basis. But in the meantime, I want to thank everybody who has hit me up and asked me, yo, when is the next episode coming? It gets obnoxious when people have to ask you because that's when you know you're doing something wrong. So shout out to y'all. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The link, it's at Logic Promotions YouTube page. You can follow me on Instagram at Applying Logic Podcast, on all your other social media platforms as well. Whether you're listening to this, the audio, watching the video on YouTube, just make sure you like, subscribe, share it, tell a friend, and we're going to keep bringing these episodes to you. Today, we have a really great episode planned. A lot of great topics to get into. Some going to hit a little closer to home than others. But, let's get into it. First things first, before we even get started with the episode, I want to say shout out to DJ Akil. Last Saturday, DJ Akil, your party was vibes. DJ Akil's big birthday party Substance went down at the Buena Vista Ballroom here in Maryland, and it was a time. A time was had. Place was packed to capacity. Beautiful people, great vibes, good energy. Drinks was flowing. DJs played well. Like, it was everything you could want in a party that was at, especially a party in January where it was supposed to be raining. We was expecting bad weather, all of these things. So, yo, DJ Akil, shout out to yourself. Great party, Substance. Yo, only bigger and better for you moving forward, homie. So with that said, we're going to take care of some business before we get into the actual, into the topics. I'm not going to be at anything this weekend. So just to preface what's about to happen, I'm not talking about anything that's coming up this weekend because I don't even know when this episode is going to air, per se. And by that point, it might be too late for any promo for anything for this weekend. And the next couple of weeks is Trinidad Carnival. So we know a bunch of people are going to be in Trinidad for Carnival. I would have been there. I'm going to be here this year, but I don't plan on being anywhere in terms of going out to any parties in the DMV area. So we are going to pick things up and start with the Carnival Return Fets. All right. So DMV. Get yourselves ready, save the date, make your plans. If you haven't already seen the flyer, it's on my page, it's on the Hooky Life page. As soon as Trinidad Carnival is over, the very next week, February 24th, it is all about PCP. That goes down at Karma DC, 2221 Adams Place, Northeast. You already know the vibe. The Hooky Life crew is bringing back to basics Travis Whirl and Lurbs, alongside DJ Mystic Vibe 6.0 and DJ Ghost right here from the DMV. So log on, get your tickets right now. They're available at hookylife.com. The very next day, Ricky Platinum has Fetish going down at G's Lounge. VI crew, get ready. He got Pumper, DJ Kareem alongside DJ Majestic, Ricky Platinum inside of G's Lounge. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but either way, that event is going down February 25th. So February 24th is PCP. February 25th is Fetish. Fast forward to the next week. Sekou Flex has Soca and Rum, his annual return fet. That's going to be at the Buena Vista Ballroom in Jessup, Maryland. I know Sekou, we've been talking, the details are coming out, but don't worry. You already know Soca and Rum is a movie every year, so go ahead, get your tickets now. They're available at elitetix.com. That is March 2nd. Then the following week, Giovanni is doing straight soca again. If you was at the last straight soca with Rigo, you know how Giovanni does. It's going to be back at Caldi's Rooftop in Silver Spring, Maryland. That is March 9th in the daytime. Then that evening, Freeze International will be bringing SSS, Secret Soca Society, to the DMV. The SSS Return Fed is going down at Karma DC. So get your tickets now for that. They're also available online. He got DJ Majestic, Most Gracious Lady, Precious Lane, Fire Oats, alongside Freeze International, and Steph, the one Galami, coming from New York. So all of those are the parties that are coming up in the next month. That's all your Carnival return fets for the DMV. I'm sure I might have forgotten some. I might be missing some. I may have intentionally left some out because these are the events that I am definitely going to be at. If I forgot something or didn't mention it, I don't need anybody to comment or say, hey, you left out this one or you left out that one. Right. I don't know that I'm going to anybody else's event. That's not to say I won't show up. But right now, these are the events I'm either booked for to do photos or video coverage, or I'm going because I just want to go. And I've already made my plans that I'm going to be in these places. So that said, don't bother to at me about anything I might have missed or left out. Any parties I didn't get to, that's later down in the month. But that's the list right now. PCP, Fetish, Soca and Rum, Straight Soca, and SSS, all going down to February 24th to February 9th. The flyers are going to be on my page. The ticket links are going to be available. So log on and get those tickets now before the events come through. All right. Business out the way. Let's get into these topics. See, I was quick. We're on the subject of keeping it in-house right now. I said I am highlighting the events that I'm going to be attending that I know for a fact I'm going to. And so a subject came across my feed this week, and I found it interesting. Some people got a little bit more upset or offended or whatever at the situation than I did, and some people just didn't care. They were like, okay, it's not that big a deal. I'm in the middle. I just thought it was an interesting topic, and when I saw like some of the bigger Soca Caribbean social media sites got wind of it and posted about it, then I felt like, yeah, this is absolutely worth talking about. So, and for clarity, because I haven't even said what the topic is yet, but for clarity, I'm just gonna say what happened. I'm not gonna use anyone's name. I don't know the people involved personally on a level where like I can say that I had a conversation with any of them, I talked to any of them, or I know, what anybody's frame of mind was. And I don't think that it's necessary for this conversation to even know who it is. So if you already know the topic I'm about, if when I start talking about it, if you know what I'm referring to, great. If you don't, I'm not going to use any names. I'm just going to talk about the issue itself. So earlier this week, a young lady who is the term Carnival Influencer was thrown around quite a bit. And I'm not saying that's not what she is. But I feel like sometimes we give some unfair tags and unfair titles to people, and those titles come with expectations that maybe that person didn't sign up for. Maybe that's not something that they wanted. And so we got to be fair. But we'll use the term Carnival Influencer because that is what was, that's the term that was thrown around this week. So a young lady who is a Carnival Influencer, but she's primarily a dancer, model, host for events, gets paid, gets bookings to attend events. That's something that she does. Came under a little fire this week because over the past year, and specifically the past year, she's been taking and getting bookings for different Caribbean carnivals locally, like within the United States and abroad. And so I guess at some point she had one of those ask me a question posts to her story. And a follower asked her, if you're not booked for a carnival, would you pay for it yourself if you want to go? Right? If you're not booked for a carnival, would you pay for it for yourself if you want to go? And her answer was no. And that answer in itself sparked a reaction from people. Now, we're going to just get on that for right now. There was absolutely nothing wrong with saying no. Like, if you're not booked to be somewhere and you ask me if I would go if I'm not booked and my answer is no, then that's the response I'm going to give you. That's a fair response to that question. So another young lady saw this and clipped up the post, screenshot it, said, "So I assume this is the issue people have with Carnival influencers, in quotations. I'm not mad at influencers who get paid now because most of them have used their own funds for years. However, I don't think this is the case for her. Seems like she just uses her dancing to make money." Okay. That sparked the back and forth online. Some of the bigger social media Soca Caribbean pages picked up the story, posted it, wanted to see people chime in. I saw the comments because it was sent to me, and because I don't follow the girl that posted it, so it was sent to me, and I was reading it, and I'm looking at people's responses, people's comments. Some people are like, "Oh, the girl who shared it is a hater. You're just hating because she's getting it paid for." Other people were like, "I'm dumb. I'm sorry." I have to point out, because this was a point that was made that I neglected. The young lady is American. That becomes important later, but understand that the young lady is American. She is getting paid to host and promote and attend these Caribbean carnivals, whether it's as a dancer, a model, whatever it is that they're paying her for. But to my knowledge, at least from what I'm seeing people posting online, she doesn't have any Caribbean background. And I don't think she claims any Caribbean background. So it's not like she's like pretending to be from the Caribbean and not really. Like, she's American. So anyway, you saw a lot of posts and you saw a lot of comments on the original story talking about, mentioning how she's American and it don't matter anyway. And people talking about we shouldn't have Carnival influencers and all this other stuff. But people were up in arms. People were talking about how much their love for Carnival and all of this other stuff. And like I said, you had the others who were on her side just saying, "Oh, people are hating. They're jealous that they're paying for what you are getting paid to do, blah, blah, blah," all of this stuff, right? So she replied in the comments, "I love Carnival and have loved Carnival since I was a kid, but unfortunately, I do not have a job that would allow me to take off and spend my money to participate. So being that I have a talent then and people would book me to do so, why wouldn't I take it? My bills come first." Right? And that was her response. So I also saw a lot of some other Carnival people, I'm not going to say influencers, some other Carnival people taking what looked like subliminal shots. Some took direct shots. Some were talking about broke influencers and stuff like that. Other people took more subliminal shots, talking about, posting stuff about, I do it for the culture, et cetera, et cetera. And all of it was unfolded over the last couple of days. So that's the backstory. Now to Rich's take, because that's the whole point of me even talking about it. I'm going to give my perspective on it because, like I said, I was asked, and I think it's interesting. And it's one of those things that I want to use this opportunity to talk about. So I'm going to start by saying I don't think there was anything wrong with her response. If you are booked to do something, it's not a part of your culture. So that's why the important part of it is that you are American. It is not something that you grew up with or it's a part of your culture. I don't know your background, your history, but it doesn't seem like any of your parents are of Caribbean descent and you didn't grow up in the Caribbean. So I looked at her page. I can borderline pinpoint the point where she even started on the Carnival side of things, like beyond just getting booked as a dancer to be at parties and getting bookings to host parties. But when the Carnival thing really started was really only about a year, right? So And none of this is a knock. I want you to understand none of this is a negative, because it's like, okay, you're being paid to do a thing that you do anyway. You were a dancer. You were always a dancer, and people are booking you and hiring you to show up at these events and dance. Why would you not take that? So it's a job for you, whether you enjoy it or not. If my job was to ask me, yo, even if I could love my job could ask me, yo, would you come in on Monday for free? And not even just for free. Would you come in on Monday and pay us to be here and do this job for free? And the answer would be as quick a no as that, with some expletives in the front. Like, ain't no way. So if it's work for you, if you're viewing it as a means of income, then no, why would I want to do that for free? Why would I want to pay to do something that is a means of income for me? So I didn't even agree with the negative backlash that she was getting, or that was directed towards her, because she gave an honest answer to a question that the answer should be no under those circumstances, right? Which is what brings me to her response, her feedback for that. And actually, I'll get to that later. So I'm in no way mad at what was said. I do understand that for the most part, when you look at the influencers in the carnival culture, most of them, especially the ones that, like the more credible ones, their content that they create enhances the culture. And what I mean by that is they highlight things that are more than just highlighting themselves. So you see, okay, workout tips, getting ready for carnival, travel tips, things to pack, how to organize your costume, bands to play with, bands I played with, bands I didn't play with, my experience with these bands, places to stay, ways to get around, different concierge services you can use. Again, getting in shape for carnival, how to shape a wire bra for the ladies, places to eat when you're in these places. You get all of this wealth of knowledge, like from the people and that have been going and attending, and for the most part, spending their money to go. They've built up this wealth of information. So when they come to their social media content, their social media platforms, and share content, it's typically giving you additional information that enhances your trip, because now you can take from some of this information as you plan. And when they share the content, like, what you're seeing is a lot of vibes. Even if it's primarily focused on them, you're still seeing the vibe of the thing they were at. So I know, for me, I follow a lot of the Carnival influencers, the content creators, the people who go out. I know a few of them personally. And their content, I always find it insightful. And yes, of course, it's your page. You're going to post pictures and videos of yourself having a good time. But then when I see the events that you were at and you're actually showcasing and highlighting the things that you went to, I'm like, yeah, nah, I might want to go to that. That looked too stush for me. Or, oh, nah, that's too a little too wild for me. Or, nah, that's up my alley right there. You know, you gain something from it. With the content on her page, it is 100% just her. It is 100% focused on her at the place. So even from a viewing perspective, yes, you look good dancing in these videos, but that's all I'm seeing. Like, I'm not getting anything from this that is making me want to go to this thing. I've never once looked at a video and said, yo, I need to go to Lou's show. I want to go to St. Vincent. I want to go to wherever, because I honestly can't even pinpoint where you are, other than me knowing the time of year it is and knowing what carnival it is. So, like, from a influencer's perspective, I don't really view the content in that way, if that makes sense. It is not enhancing the actual event for me. Your page is your page that is curated to highlight you. And that's the aesthetic that you have put forth. And that's completely, like, that makes complete sense. That's the look you're going for on your page. You're accomplishing that. So I feel like the people who are mad about you saying, okay, the person needs to have a love or an appreciation for Carnival, I don't agree with that, because I'm like, this person has, from their content and their background, has shown that this is, it appears, and again, she appears to be having fun everywhere she goes, but it's like, I don't understand where y'all thought there was going to be more to that, or where you thought it was going to be a deeper, anything deeper than what was on the surface, right? So that brings me to the response. Again, I don't know her personally like that to say I talked to her or asked or have any insight, so I can't speak to her to what her intentions were. I can only look at the question, the answer, and then the response afterwards. And yeah, I felt like that response afterwards was nonsense. Like, I didn't believe it. It just didn't make sense to me. Because here's the thing. If you post to your stories, hey, and you ask me a question, and I ask you a very clear, I asked you a very clear question. If you're not booked for a carnival, would you pay for it yourself if you want to go? And your answer is no. That is your answer. Like, is not a lot more explaining to do than that, because you had time to read the questions. You have time to decide which of the questions in your inbox you're going to respond to, because I'm sure you didn't respond to all of them. And you had time to offer any additional explanation or any additional context to your answer if you wanted to. But you said no, period, send, on to the next one. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but own it. Just live in that answer. Like, yeah, I said no. If I'm not booked to be there, I'm not going. I say that now about stuff. And I'm going to get to that too. But I say that now about stuff where it's like, yeah, if I was home this weekend, you hit me up because you needed pictures or you needed whatever. If I was not booked to be there, I would not be going. There's nothing wrong with that. That is your time to do, and your money to do as you please. So your follow-up response talking about, I don't have a job that would allow me to take off and spend the money to participate. So that being said, I have a talent, blah, 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 blah. Nah, that's not what you asked. Nobody said anything about being able to afford it or take off from work. The question was specifically, would you do it if you had to pay for it? No, you would not. There's nothing wrong with that. To you, it is not worth the money that is being spent to attend. That's what I got from that. And that's, like I said, that's a perfectly fine answer, but own it. Don't walk it back and, oh no, it's because my job and I don't have, so if someone is good, that's not what anybody asked you. She asked you straight up, would you go? That's a yes or no. Either you would attend, because we're not talking about the financial part of it. That question, we're assuming that that's not a concern. It's like, yo, that's somebody wanting to know. And again, I don't know the mind frame of the person that asked. But that's somebody, to me, it read like, yo, I see you attending all these carnivals, blah, blah, blah. But if you wasn't booked, is it something you would do of your own free will? And you're like, no, absolutely not. Spend money to go to that? For what? That's how it read. That's how that no read to me. Now, again, don't know the person, never spoke to them, so I can't, not never spoke to them. Don't know her, I haven't spoken to her, asked specifically about this, so I can't say or judge or guess what the mind frame was. I'm just telling you how it read when I saw it, right? And as I said before, that's perfectly fine. Here is the catch to that, though. The tricky part of that response is you are now representing a brand. You are now representing the promoters that hire you, the people that book you, the band leaders, whoever it is. And whether you feel like you are a Carnival influencer or not, whether that's something that you signed up for, whatever it is, you are being paid to take these bookings to go to these things. No, you don't have a responsibility to take on the burden of promoting and supporting that brand outside of the things that you're paid to do. But as a person that booked you, as the entity that paid you, I know personally, and I, without having to give it much thought, I know I can say a couple of people in those positions who will look at that and say, oh, I would never work with her. And the reason is that's not a good look for the brands that are hiring you to promote that thing. If you're telling people that, yeah, this thing that I'm at, that you see me at, that you asking me about going to, that I'm at for free, in fact, I'm being paid to be here, would I be here if I had to spend the money on it? Nah. As a patron watching that, I'd be like, oh, so basically it's not worth it. Cool. Good to know. Thanks. Thanks for the feedback. As the entity paying you, I'm like, yo, what the hell? That's like, yo, I'm a spokesperson for McDonald's. And when someone asks me, yo, you want to go grab some McDonald's later? I'm like, dog, I don't eat that. Why would I go to McDonald's? I don't eat there. But I'm being paid to represent that brand. Like, that's how nuts it is to have said no. So, and I'm not saying that that's going to cost you, like, people, nobody's going to work with you, but I do know that there are entities out there that will look at that and say, nah, like, she toxic right now. I can't mess with that. Like, you end up kind of messing up some of your own potential money in the future, because there are people who now will look at that negatively, because they'll say, yeah, if you're telling your followers that you would not attend this thing if you were not being paid, then I'm not going to pay you to try to get other people to pay to come. I'm not going to pay you to tell your followers to pay to come to this thing that you said you won't pay to be at. That's just the economics of it. So the reality is, whether the answer is yes or no, like, I feel like in that moment, if you're thinking like about the brands you're now representing by being paid to attend and highlight these things, yeah, the answer, like a easy, simple yes would have been like, oh, of course I would go. What do you mean? Like, in a heartbeat. But you spoke your truth, and that's why I said that thing that cleanup that you tried to do looked like trash to me, because I was like, yo, you answered the question at first, so like anything you say after that just is irrelevant to most people. I'm not even just saying to me, but to the people who don't see it like that, cool, great. I'm not even trying to swear or convince anybody. I'm telling you how I view it, and like, given the opportunity, like, to put it in perspective, like, there's a lot of stuff I know if I'm not booked, I wouldn't go to, right? Like, if you didn't hire me to take your photos or whatever, I would stay at home. I would never say that publicly. To the point where, like, even I would post flyers to stuff that I'm either hired to promote or I'm booked for photography, and a friend might hit me on the side. Rich, are you actually going? Cause I see this flyer. I want to know. And if you my friend, you my homie, and I know I wasn't planning on going, or I'm not planning on going, I'd be like, nah, no, I'm not gonna be there. But that's me talking to my friend one-on-one. That's never getting out. You know what I'm saying? But if it's asked publicly, the answer should always be, yeah, of course. That's just my thoughts on that. If you are representing a brand, like, you do have to take that into consideration when your followers and the people who are following you for the content that you post ask you about the content that you post. So, but that was my 2 cents on that. I wish everybody luck in the situation moving forward. I feel the way I feel about it. Again, I ain't use no names. I don't feel like I said anything that was in any way inflammatory or disrespectful to anybody, because again, I don't think anything she said was wrong. You spoke your truth. Well, I feel like the excuse you gave, the follow-up answer you gave, and it still wasn't wrong. I just didn't believe it, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, I did see a lot of people saying that we should bring back a little bit of gatekeeping in the carnival. And that comes back to the whole point of like when you see someone who is not of the culture, because there are a lot of American people who fully embrace, love, enjoy Carnival. Not even just American people from America, the UK, whatever, have no actual ties to the Caribbean, but they just got fully involved and immersed in it. And nobody says a word about them, because the thing about it is a very inclusive thing. It's open to the world. So it's not like anybody says, oh, I need to see your passport or your birth certificate. I need to see Caribbean ties or roots to be involved in it. It's just not like that. Like that isn't it. So you have a lot of people who are not from the Caribbean or not a part of the Caribbean who are involved in it in a money-making capacity. And as long as you're treating the thing with respect and deference, nobody is going to tell you that you have to stop. Nobody's going to say, oh, you can't do this because you're not from the Caribbean. So I don't necessarily like the idea of gatekeeping per se, but I'm starting to realize that a little bit of gatekeeping ain't a bad thing. A little bit of kind of more being selective with our culture about who monetizes off of our culture is probably not the worst idea. And this is a new feeling for me, because I never used to feel like this. But some of the stuff is like, all right, maybe we don't need everybody. You know what I'm saying? Maybe everybody don't need to be involved in the Caribbean culture. Maybe a little bit of gatekeeping might not be as bad as as it sounds. So we're on the topic of gatekeeping, and I'm going to swing this over to Notting Hill Carnival, because they did something that I have to say I am fully in support of, regardless of how controversial it might be to some people. I saw this and it warmed my heart. And anybody who knows me knows how much of a soca lover I am. So this really gave me a nice warm and fuzzy. So what am I talking about? For Notting Hill Carnival, a few bands will not be allowed to be on the road for this year's Notting Hill Carnival. Why? Because they did not follow the music policy and rules at the last carnival. And that was the carnival where you saw, I know a lot of us talked about it, whether it was on these different larger Caribbean blog sites or just within our group chats. When we saw the videos over and over of different Afro beats and or American music being played at some of these events on the road, not even at events, on the actual carnival road. And the back and forth on that was a lot. Now I have friends who would say, well, Notting Hill, that's kind of on brand for them because it's a very international carnival and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And some people are like, we don't care. Like, it's carnival. This is what carnival is supposed to be. So if you're going to do the thing, do it correctly. Like, these other genres of music have the rest of the year to be thrust into the forefront, highlighted, loved, played, appreciated. Soca music is such a seasonal thing, that soca and calypso, that it only really has carnival. And a lot of that is really only whenever it's at the parade, because a lot of the parties now are starting to incorporate other popular genres just to keep, interest from the non-Caribbean people who are attending, who they are trying to attract. So at least can we keep the parade what it was? And I'm one of those people who's on that side of the argument. of the parade itself, I don't care what country it's in. The parade should remain soca and calypso. Like I don't even have another way to say that. I feel like that has been a stance I've taken on several occasions, and I'm sticking with that one. That the actual road experience of Carnival should, I don't care what country it's in, should remain authentic to its origins and should be primarily soca, calypso musically. So, one of the bands in question, and I didn't look at the date on this because this looks like it was a post from last year. In response to the criticism, the band leader said, "As I stated before, London Carnival is the most diverse carnival in the world. You have all types of ethnicities, cultures, races coming together to party at one carnival. If there's 1,000 people behind my truck, at least 300 to 400 are actually from an African country. So the Where's the Soca people and the Afrobeats don't belong in Carnival gonna have to sit this one out. This ain't St. Lucia or Grenada." Now this is Tropical Fusion's Mass. I am gonna call their name because they put a name on it, so I'm gonna put a name on it. Tropical Fusion Mass took this stance last year. This year, the statement is, "We love and appreciate our Tropical Fusion family so much. We are sorry for the disappointment of us not being on the road for 2024. We will be back for 2025. Blah, 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 blah. Because they were told they're not being allowed to participate in Carnival this year, and rightfully so. You have a responsibility as a mass band, as a Carnival band, to the upkeep of the culture as it is. And that's not to say that you don't embrace the other people who are coming and taking part in your and paying the money to be in your band. But the point is to bring those people over to experience a Caribbean carnival. Whether it's in Notting Hill or whether it's in London, wherever. The point is that, hey, you are coming to experience this. Your coming here is not for us to transform this into something more palatable for you. So I don't care that you're saying that, okay, here's how many people that were coming from here would have been coming from a country in the continent. Okay, great. I love Afrobeats. I love Amapiano. But today, we are on the road for Carnival. So guess what? You're going to hear some soca and calypso on the road today. And that's okay. Deal with that. So I do applaud. I applaud the committee for the stance that they took. They said, "We are considering changing the music policy for 2024, specifically to clarify the music genres that can be played on the road. This is likely to impact the music that you have previously heard at Carnival." The chief executive, Matthew Phillip, told the news that the bands are provided with a copy of the terms and the conditions for participation. The music policy hasn't changed, he said, while admitting that they have not always enforced it in the past. So this is them retroactively fixing something that was already in writing, but they have not been enforcing. And the key part of this to me is, justifying the crackdown, he said, "I see our role as preserving the culture. Calypso and soca do not enjoy the same commercial impact as other forms." Simple. Very simple. Calypso and soca do not get the same kind of commercial airplay throughout the year. So if this is their showcase, this is the time that they get to be at the forefront, then DJs, please have some respect for the thing that you're a part of. Band leaders, please have some respect for this thing that you are now a part of. And give the proper time and place the proper level of importance on the music that is a part of this genre. You have plenty of time to play all the hip hop, Afrobeat, Amapiano, dancehall, and reggae that you want to play at all the events you want to play it at. In fact, some of the parties and events for Carnival are even highlighting that they're not going to be 100% soca, and I'm okay with that. But the road, the experience that actually makes the Carnival what it is, can we keep that, within the genre? That's all. So that's why when I say a little bit of gatekeeping, I'm starting to realize may not be a bad thing. Like we might, if that means we got to sit here and like really kind of handpick the DJs and the people that we allow to be band leaders and the people that we allow to bring Carnival bands to the road, I'm starting to realize I'm not against that. I am not against a little bit of gatekeeping for preservation of the culture. Now, while we're on the topic of soca, really quickly, Trinidad Carnival is next week, and it is really starting to look like DNA might be the soca monarch for this year. And I'm going to give my thoughts on that really quickly. I love that song. I love DNA. Mikhail Teja, the song is dope. Actually, his last couple of years has been just hit after hit after hit. So this ain't shading the song itself because I like to hear it on a mix. I like to hear it in a fet. I like to use it in a recap video. Like any opportunity to play or you hear the song, I like it. I just don't want to hear it. I would not want to hear that song crossing the stage. And as we know for Road March, the way they count Road March, it is just the song that is played at the judging points, the primary judging points being the stages. When you got to get in your section, the rope man kind of hold everybody back, and section by section, you take the stage and parade your costume. And that's not the song I would want to hear crossing the stage. That's just me. I asked a question today to my social media, and, I got a lot of mixed response. And we had a lot of good dialogue because every year right before Carnival, I'll do that. I'll ask, hey, what's everybody's pick for Road March this year? And you get the back and forth. There's always a few top level contenders and, the ones that the people who are in Trinidad right now are hearing played over and over and over. So they have an idea of, we know kind of where the DJs are leaning, where the bands are leading, where this year the song is. But this is one of those years where the song that is really, really leading the charge is very slow, super groovy, a beautiful song. I just don't get stage crossing vibes from it. So, and if that's the way Road March is judged, then that is, again, the metric I'm using. The metric I'm using is the way Road March is judged, of the song that is played at the judging points, aka crossing the stage. And I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling somebody, like people were saying Anxiety. I love that song. Not feeling that to cross the stage. The ones that I'm really feeling to kind of cross the stage aren't even getting the love in the comment sections. Like the Lyrical and Nyla, Best Self, Carnival Day, Voice, and Patrice. And there's a few others that I don't, the names are escaping me right now, but there's a few others that are like, all of these songs are giving me that cross the stage vibe, but they're not, it's a lot of DNA. So, but for the people who are asking for it, if you guys are playing mass this year and that's what you want, then by all means, I got no complaints with that, because I'm one of the people that year after year I say, we can all have our conversations and discuss and give our opinions and our thoughts. But when it comes down to it, who the DJs need to be paying attention to, who the band leaders need to be listening to, are the masqueraders, the people who spent their money to play mass that year. And if you are not playing mass for Carnival, then your opinion, while it is valid to you, like mine is valid to me, should not impact the final decision, because at the end of the day, you're not the one that has to actually. This isn't a song that is gonna. You're not crossing the stage this year. Like, couldn't even find another way to say it. You are not the one crossing the stage this year. So we can talk, and everything we say and we talk about on social media is theoretical. But if you know you're gonna be in the States Carnival Monday and Tuesday, then you can kind of take a back seat. And this is more a message to the DJs that, hey, when you're listening to who before you decide what song you're going to play, remember, some of the people talking, not even going to Trinidad for Carnival. Like me. That's why, like, even as I'm giving my opinion, I'm saying my opinion is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, because it is more about the people who are actually going to be crossing the big stage, going to be crossing Socadrome, going to be crossing the downtown stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the people whose opinion matters. So, and if it's DNA, it's DNA. I'm just saying, if it is DNA, this will be one of those years I don't feel bad about missing Carnival. And I don't miss Carnival often. Like, I think this is only the second year since I, like, as an adult going to Carnival. This will only be the second year I missed. But I will not regret missing it if you're telling me that the song that is going to be played across the stage is DNA. But yeah. In addition to the talk of the songs, I feel like Carnival in general, because I'm saying, like, I'm not going, and I'm kind of getting a like, when I talk to my friends, there are a lot of people not going this year. There are a lot of people who are sitting this year out, and I know that a lot of it comes down to the overall cost of Carnival. And I think I've talked about this before here and on the Guys Unpack. Shout to the homie Dre. That is Guys Unpack still coming back, yo. As soon as Dre get back from Carnival. But yeah, the overall cost has made it so, like, inaccessible to a lot of people. And even people who, like, started making plans. Like, I had a friend today told me that someone had dropped out from their trip. Like, Carnival's next week. You drop out at this point for next week. You know, that's big, because at this point you would think the people who are locked in, but when you see, like, the major parties, the Soca Brainwash still have tickets, Ambush still have tickets, some of Ryan's other events still have tickets, Sun Nation, what's Sun Nation's party? Sunrise Breakfast Fete still has tickets. Some of these things that typically sell out in hours of release, to have tickets the week before Carnival is a sign that there are a lot of people sitting this year out. So while these parties are still going to do well, because they're still going to get attended by thousands, because these are parties that the numbers are so astronomical that even when the numbers are low, they're still going to look good. But I'm wondering, from the promoter's perspective, what are they looking at? Because, like, what is going to be the remedy for next year to get things back to where they were, if that's even where the place they're trying to go to? I know the plane tickets this year were ridiculous. That's where it started. Plane, like, airfare to Trinidad started ridiculous. We already know hotels and rental cars in Trinidad around Carnival time. It is what it is. You're just kind of accepting what it is. But then even the party tickets were, like, they were unreasonable for what was being offered at some of these events. And I know that did play a part in some people's decision when you start actually adding up the cost of the trip. So I do think that the promoters, tourism committee, whoever it is that is looking into these things, the airlines, I think some things changes are going to need to be made, because I do know a lot of people who are looking at different carnivals this year and saying, hey, the money I'm not going to Trinidad with, I could go to Vinci or Grenada or Lucia or wherever and have just as good a time. So Like I love Trini. I love Trinidad Carnival. I don't plan on missing next year. Like I can call it from now. I believe I will be going next year. We're gonna hope that nothing changes in my situation that makes that impossible. But like, dog, I'm gonna need y'all to I'm gonna need y'all to help a brother out. Like make it a little bit more accessible. Do something because this and y'all are feeling it. The promoters in Trinidad are feeling it. I've never seen them have to promote this hard, this close to Trinidad, this close to Carnival, and still have tickets available. So, but you know, that is it for that. We gonna get off the Carnival talk for now. I mean, we done hit all the topics we need to hit. Shout out to everybody going. I want y'all to have a great time. Take all the pictures. I'm not unfollowing nobody. I'm not blocking nobody. I want to see all your stories. You could tag me. I'm going to double tap everything because even though I'm not going to sit here and be mad that you went. I want to see the content. I want to see the parties. I want to see you there. I want to see you having a good time. So feel like I ain't unfollowing nobody. I ain't blocking nobody. I am not going to feel bad. No type of way. So everybody who go in, big up yourself. Have a great time. Be safe. Please come back in one piece. Don't add to the population. Don't decrease the population. Just have a good time and come back. And yeah, that's it for the Trinidad Carnival portion of it, yo. So the next thing that's been all over my timeline, inescapable, has been Nicki and Megan. Boy, oh boy. So this one's been interesting for me because, like, we'll start off with I am a Nicki fan, right? Pink Friday 2 was great. I love the album. Big fan of Nicki. I am not a big fan of Meg. I don't particularly care for her rap style. And that's not saying that she's bad, and I'm not saying it's like a versus B thing for me. I don't even pit them against each other. It's just that when I'm listening, I don't particularly like Meg songs. Love Nicki. But these last few days and this beef has been funny. Yo, after starting and prefacing my comments by saying I'm big Nicki fan, not a big Meg fan. This beef right now that really kind of started, because it kind of started on Pink Friday too, because you heard the jabs that Nicki took at Meg on there. And then when Meg dropped Hiss and really only kind of referenced Nicki once in a sub, like ain't name no names, just real quick subliminal shot at Nicki. I'm not gonna lie, that to me was better than Nicki's whole diss track. Nicki, what was that, yo? What, yo? Okay. So, like I said, I'm gonna backtrack. Nicki threw some shots at Meg in her album. The album dropped, blah, blah, blah. Meg put out Hiss. Made the quick Megan's Law reference, and everybody knows, yeah, you're talking to Nicki. Like, there was no, even though you didn't say no names, and you went on the Breakfast Club talking about, yo, a hit dog will holler, cool, great. But we know you're talking about Nicki. So, like, we can infer. We got ears. We know what's up. Then Nicki proceeded to have what appeared like a complete mental breakdown for 2 days. Like the Twitter rants, the posts, the IG, like just all of it. And fans and non-fans were all watching it. And we were all sitting here like, she all right? But then at the same time, I'm like, nah, but she gonna come out with some fire, because like all of this that we see in this 2 days of Twitter or whatever, nah, this is nothing. The song, if she decide to put out a track, this and Meg, it's gonna go off. And then she dropped the track. And I listened to it a couple of times because I wanted to like it. I wanted to feel differently about it than I did, but the song was trash. The song was trash. That's my honest, like my few listens opinion. The bars that would have hit the hardest, the bar that would have hit the hardest to me was the bar about you could hit Megan Raw, and you shared that in a tweet. So I already knew that was coming. It did not have the impact. And I heard Charlamagne say this too. And I was thinking at the time, like, it didn't have the impact you wanted it to have because you gave away your best punchline in a tweet to me, your best punchline to me. The rest of it was below the belt. And you could say that there's no real below the belt in a rap beef, but there is. Like, there's a little bit of etiquette if you were out there beefing with somebody and you didn't have any for this. Talking about the foot thing, like, okay, we get it. You said it, but like, how many times are you going to make that one same reference within this diss track? You know, like you didn't do anything that made me look to Megan and feel like, yeah, yo, what you gonna do with this? Like honestly, if Megan doesn't respond, I don't blame her because I don't feel like this shot warrants a response. I could be wrong. She could be in the studio right now cooking up something else, right? But I didn't feel that this track hurt Megan. And if the track don't hurt you, why would I respond to it? And Nicki's talking about how many streams it's getting. She's on her Instagram talking about how well it's doing on on YouTube, even though it has no visuals, and it hit number 1 on Spotify and all of this stuff. And all of that is true because it did all of those things. But that is taking a lot of things out of context because yes, people are going to go stream the song because they want to hear it. More importantly, once people hear that it's trash, some people are going to go listen to it just to hear how trash it was. So in addition to, so you are the biggest female rapper in the world and you have been for years, and don't get any of this twisted. Nicki fan right here. So none of this is shade to her. But I'm saying you're the biggest female rapper in the world for years, and you have a huge following. You just dropped an album. Your album broke the internet for a day. Everybody, like the Gag City stuff was all over the place. The Barbs took over. So you have the following and you have their ear right now. So if you tell them you're going to drop a diss track and you hint at a diss track and you have a little mental breakdown online about this diss track, then yes, when the track comes out, people are going to go listen to it. So it being number 1 on Spotify and YouTube and all of these places don't mean much because you have the publicity behind you. And for the people who have those services, it's free to go listen. Like I could listen to the track 7-8 times. I don't spend a dime. So even counting the streaming numbers doesn't mean much to me. And for you to post that, you're not even posting fan reactions or anything. You're not saying nothing that is impactful. Yes, you have a lot of streams and you have more streams than Hiss did. Hiss talked about you for 3 seconds in one bar that doesn't actually reference you. And I think that song won the battle so far. Like it's 1-0 Meg to Nicki. So what I do think, and because I love a rap beef, so I need Nicki to, say that Hiss was just the first volley, just a quick shot. Because like Nicki, and she was slick with it. She was talking about, like she said, it's a song that I did over the weekend, joking around on IG. And like, okay, maybe. Because like, we all know that the person I know personally, the person who like downplays their effort when something does well to make it seem like, nah, it wasn't that big a deal. Like you got the promoters who talk about, oh, this how my party do offer 2 weeks promotion. I only promoted it for 2 weeks, and will say over and over they only promoted it for 2 weeks. But you go to their page and that flyer has been posted for over 2 months. Tickets have been available for over 2 months. So yes, it did well that night. So you don't have to act like, you don't have to downplay your effort. And that's Nicki talking about, yeah, it's streaming and doing well, but just saying I'm streaming doing well off of something that I was only joking around on Instagram and decided to put out in a weekend. Yeah, you downplaying your efforts to make the accomplishment seem bigger. But the reality is, yeah, this sounds like a track. This better been a track that you only was joking around, or to put out, because ain't nothing you said in it that was impactful, that felt like this was ether, this was hit 'em up, this was no Vaseline. Like it was none of that. It wasn't any of that. This track was not good. And right now, Meg is smoking your boots. One zip. And she only really rapped about you for 1 bar. And you are a better rapper than Meg to me. To me, this should be an easy 1-0 Nicki. But like I said, I feel like at this point, if it's going to continue, I'm gonna need Nicki to get in the booth, and get it together and put out some heat and drop another. Like if you think Meg should respond to this, you bugging. I don't think Meg is going to respond to this. I wouldn't respond to this if I was Meg. So Nicki, you're gonna need to jump back in the studio and come out with something to make her respond. So, but that's it on Nicki and Meg. Oh, no, it's not. Actually, and Nicki, whatever you do, like, you can't talk about her foot no more. You can't talk about her mom no more. That's the only problem that you might have right now, is you can't talk about her foot. You can't talk about her mom. Though you did it. You did it to death. You did it to the point where it's no long, where it's not. Some of it was never funny. Some of it is no longer funny. I almost want to say you can't talk about Tory no more, but that's the one where it's like, if you can find something clever to say, great. But like, you ran that foot joke to the death. So leave that one alone. If you're gonna come back and say anything, and you really can't even talk about her quote unquote sleeping around, because it seems like she don't care about that. Like, that seems like something where it's like, yeah, so and if that's my mentality about something, you can't attack me about something I don't care about. You can't call me a hoe if I wear that on my sleeve. I'm not saying Meg is a hoe. I'm just saying, like, if I tell you I slept around and you use it in a track, then if I tell you I this many people and you use it in a track, then it's like, you're not really actually using anything that I feel any type of way about. So yeah, that's the end of my talk with the whole Nicki Meg thing. Like, yo, and I like the beef. Keep it going. It's great. Like it is keeping hip hop interesting, but just, better tracks is all I'm asking for. And specifically from you, Nicki. So looking down my list of topics, I'm not getting to all of them. I don't plan on getting to all of them, because some of this I actually want to save to talk about with Dre. So the Super Bowl is coming up. And I don't got to spend too much time on the Super Bowl, because quite frankly, the teams that most of us wanted in the Super Bowl are not playing. I wanted Detroit versus Baltimore. I was sick and tired of seeing Taylor Swift. And no, this was not me hating on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, because I saw some people try to make it about, oh, how could you hate on this, blah, blah, blah. As I said, it's nobody's hating on Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. Least I'm not. I am saying I was sick and tired of the NFL cutting to Taylor Swift in the stands every time the Chiefs did anything good. It didn't even have to be when Travis Kelce did anything. If the Chiefs did anything good, they cut the TV cut to Taylor Swift in the stands. And I didn't think that the NFL could make me dislike someone that I've had zero feelings about this much. Because I've never given Taylor Swift this much thought at any point in my life since Kanye took that mic from her. That was the last time I had this much to think about Taylor Swift. So right now, I was hoping that I would be freed from those shackles for the Super Bowl and we would get Detroit versus Baltimore. But Lamar did what apparently Lamar does in the playoffs. And, you know, we here in the DMV, and I had to hear from the Baltimore fans today as I was listening to them talk and complain about the refs and how the refs, because of some calls that they made that might have been ticky-tack and they might have felt was unfair. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody's going to feel like the refs cheated their team when the refs make calls that they don't agree with. But Ravens fans, Lamar did not play well. End of story. It doesn't matter what the refs did. If Lamar played well, we would not be having this conversation. And this is not a football pod. I'm not here to get into expert analysis on football. That's not me. I'm not a football expert. I watched the game. And then I listened to analysts who said the same things I was seeing. Lamar had opportunities where he should have ran, and he didn't. And I don't know if it was nervousness. I don't know if it was because of the magnitude of the situation. I've never been in that situation, so I wouldn't know. But when you hear people who have been in that situation and they're saying these things that you as a fan noticed, maybe some of them are true. There were situations where I looked at it, I was like, why didn't you just, like, you could have just scrambled. Your line is holding up. There's a little gap there. Make them, because right now, if you're saying that all your receivers are covered because you can't pass it, like you're back there holding the ball because your receivers are covered, make them respect your run game. Make them respect your legs. Take off a little bit. So now they can't afford to just drop back and cover the receivers as much. They got to keep an eye on you. But you didn't do that. You didn't do a lot to make them say, nah, we got to stay in, because if we let Lamar loose, he going to drop. He going to pick up 10, 15 yards every time he start dashing. So I felt like there was a lot of opportunities where that should have happened and it didn't. And watching the game, I was like, yo, what are they doing? Like Lamar, I'm not saying Lamar cost y'all that game. I'm saying he didn't play good. But you say he choked, whatever you want to call it. Lamar did not play good. That interception in the triple coverage, that's Lamar. That's trash. Like, to even throw that ball, and I'm not a quarterback in the NFL, so I can't say what I would have done in that situation. But I watched where you threw that ball, and I was like, I don't think I would have thrown it there. He was triple covered. Like, again. So, like I said, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I will say, you know, it's going to be the Chiefs versus the Super Bowl team up. I mean, the Super Bowl matchup is set. Chiefs versus Niners. I don't care about either team. So I'm going to watch because it's a Super Bowl, but this is one of those whoever wins, wins. Great. Good for you. Congratulations. Your fan base gets a W, but I don't have a dog in this fight. So I'm watching just to say I watched the Super Bowl this year. And yeah. You know, I got my Marvel stuff. I got a couple of shows I want to get into. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. But I think I'm going to save that because I feel like we hit a good point. We got a lot of stuff discussed. We got a lot of things out. And I'm good with where we're at right now. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, rocking with me. paying attention to my little rants. To all my people, again, going to Carnival, please be safe, enjoy, have a good time. Like I said, don't increase or take away from the population while you're out there. To my DMV folk, those of you who go into any stay-home parties, y'all have fun, have a good time. I will not be in attendance. The next time y'all gonna see me, I'm gonna run down my list again. February 24th for PCP, the annual Hooky Life post-Carnival Pump Carnival Return Fet. Then the next day, Fetish, Ricky Platinum's party. Got Pumper, DJ Kareem. Soca and Rum, March 2nd, Sekou Flex Big Party. Going down at the Buena Vista Ballroom. Then the following week, March 9th, is going to be Giovanni, Straight Soca at Caldi's Rooftop. Then later that night at Karma, Freeze International is bringing SSS back to the DMV. SSS, the Return Fet. Got Majestic, Most Gracious Lady, Precious Lane, Fire Oats, Freeze, and One Gal Army on that lineup. So the tickets are all on the promoter's page. The links are going to be posted on my page later. But log on, get them tickets now. I know the early bird tickets for PCP are already sold out. If you haven't gotten yours, you're already too late for that. But they still got general admission tickets on sale, so get those before those are all gone. I'm telling y'all, PCP going to be a scene. And all the other parties after that. Fetish, Pumper, Kareem, DJ Kareem, Straight Soca, Soca and Rum, SSS. The next month in the DMV is going to be a vibe. So just make sure, like every weekend is something going on. I'm going to be outside for all of it. And then as the later in the month parties come, I'm going to drop those. I'm going to let y'all know what else is coming on later in the month. But for now, I want to thank you guys for logging in, for tuning in. If you enjoying the episodes, if you're enjoying the topics, please feel free. Shoot me a line, drop me a message. Like, subscribe, follow the page, follow the social media pages. And if there's any topics that you want to hear me discuss, anything trending going on in the week that you think needs a little bit of additional attention, feel free to hit me up. DM me, shoot me a message. If you got my phone number, text me. Any way you feel that you need to get in touch with me, let me know if there's something you think we should address on the Applying Logic podcast. So again, thank you guys for logging in. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Make sure you subscribe, and we're going to catch you guys next week. Let me try to commit to next week, brand new episode. If not, then it'll be about a week or so after, but we're going to speak it into existence. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. So until then, I'm going to see y'all. Be safe, and I am out.